Hello and welcome, adventurers. I am the Curious Owlbear, and I'm here to explore everything Dungeons & Dragons related, including history, lore, monsters, DM tips, map making, and more. If at any point you find that you've learned something or you're having fun, consider giving this video a like, as there will be more to follow. Last time we covered the creation myth, which set the stage for the cataclysmic battle between the first deities of the Forgotten Realms and the primordials from the elemental chaos, commonly referred to as the Dawn War. The gods have finally taken notice of the primordials, who extracted some of the lightest and darkest aspects of the world, creating the Feywild and Shadowfell respectively. The deities put aside their aeons-old differences and banded together against the Lords of Chaos, leaders of the primordials. There will be a lot to cover in this video, so stick with me. We are still in an age before written history, and thus before any numerical dates are given. The Dawn War spans over two of what we call epochs. In Tolkien's terms, an epoch is an age, but the D&D definition is essentially a significant length of time that can be defined by one great event or state of the world. At this time in history, the gods were similar to the primordials in that they were not subjected to a specific divine portfolio. In future years, a divine portfolio will define the realm over which a god has dominion. For example, the goddess Mistral, created by the divine essence of Shar and Saloon, will become the deity who presides over the divine portfolio of magic. The gods Arathis, Moradin, and Corellon wanted to bring the rest of the deities closer together to better oppose the primordial threat. So they fashioned the Lattice of the Heavens, a great transportation highway between the realms of the gods and mortals. During construction, however, the Oberonths, evil creatures from another universe, crafted their malice into the Shard of Pure Evil. They used this artifact to pierce the veil between the Far Realm and the Forgotten Realms, but they could not enter the new realm until the shard was planted within the astral sea. The gods felt and were aware of the new psychic energy brought about by the Oberonths, but Tharizdun was the first deity to find the Shard of Pure Evil. Tharizdun lusted for power, some saying that he sought to create a demiplane on which he could rule. Reaching out and touching the Shard of Pure Evil immediately drove Tharizdun to madness, with a drive to unmake reality. As he made contact with the Shard, Tharizdun crossed into the Far Realm, an act which is said to have spawned an infinite number of multiverses similar to the Forgotten Realms. Whispers of the Oberonths flooded into his mind, requesting that he plant the Shard in the astral sea in exchange for dominion over it. Tharizdun was cautious, however, and was able to partially deflect some of the Oberonth's power over his mind. Instead of placing the shard in the astral sea, he took it to the elemental chaos. It took root, burrowing into the elemental chaos, and created the seemingly infinite abyss. The Oberonths flooded in, finding Tharizdun and several primordials who remained here standing in defense of the new realm. After a major battle, the two sides reached a stalemate. The Oberonths, with nowhere else to go, fled into the newly formed abyss, where a mighty Oberonth named Obox-Ob claimed the Shard of Pure Evil and became the first Prince of Demons. He ruled until the Queen of Chaos, another mighty Oberonth, learned how to fashion the darkest portions of the universe into weapons. She mobilized her legions and overthrew Obox-Ob, and her forces became the first demons of the abyss. They seek to spread evil throughout the universe, that it may fester and corrupt all beings as they previously had done in the Far Realms. Tharizdun, now renamed the Elder Elemental Eye in his madness, marshaled the remaining primordials in the Forgotten Realms in an attempt to answer the threat presented by the Queen of Chaos. However, the Queen proved to be too powerful, adding the Mad God and his forces to her army. During the ensuing battles, Tharizdun was eventually captured by the gods, chained and sealed within a massive prison. The Mad God was safely contained, renamed the Chained God, and the deity set Asmodeus, then ally of the gods, to watch over the prison. They continued to hunt Tharizdun's primordial forces, but they escaped, reforming under Miska the wolf spider. The struggle between the gods and primordials continued, eventually resulting in the destruction of the lattice of the heavens. Many worlds were lost, but the strength of the lattice provided the structure for the remaining realms. This structure is defined as the great cosmic wheel, which depicts the routes still available to creatures that wish to travel between the planes. At this time, the world of Abir Teril and its surrounding cosmos can be referred to as the prime material plane. The beginning of the Dawn War did not go very well for the gods. They were scattered, petulant in their struggles against each other, overwhelmed by the Oberonths, and could not individually match the power of the primordials. Several conflicts arose between certain gods and primordials. For example, the dwarves of Stoneroot Mountain were enslaved by giants and primordials for over 100 generations. Throughout their enslavement, the dwarves continued to secretly devote themselves to Moradin, who eventually saved the dwarves from their plight. A god known as Akra was able to defeat a primordial named the Queen of Bronze, which marked one of the first major victories for the gods. Several other deities began to follow Akra, who was forever renamed Bane. This new pantheon of deities had significantly more power than their isolated brethren, and so fared much better in their struggles. The gods continued to draw power from other realms, including the realms ruled by the Norse, Egyptian, and Greek pantheons. Gods like Ra, Zeus, and Odin appeared in some editions of the books, with dedicated groups of mortals who support them. Dungeon masters should feel free to include these pantheons in their worlds. The Dawn War had many major exchanges and many significant moments. The following are among the most well-known and most infamous battles during the war. The dragon god Io met Eric Huss, the King of Terror, in 1-versus-1 combat, and Io was slain. The King of Terror cleaved the dragon god in two with his great adamantine axe, and the two halves of Io immediately gained life of their own, banding together to slay the primordial. This marks the only time in history that the children of Io, Bahamut and Tiamat, worked together. Forever after, they have been in constant opposition, with Bahamut representing the metallic dragons and Tiamat presiding over the chromatic dragons. The god Haramathur, tasked by the pantheon to watch over the rift between the Far Realm and the Forgotten Realms, sacrificed himself to stem the tide of Oberonths flooding through the rift. He turned himself and everything around him to stone, which permanently sealed the portal. Orcus, Demogorgon, and Rimnon faced the god Ammoth in battle. Ammoth was able to slay Rimnon and greatly weaken Demogorgon before Orcus struck him down. At some point during these epochs, the gods formed the divine portfolios to aid them in their war against the primordials. They took dominion over specific aspects of power, which reduced the struggles between the gods and enabled them to gain power from mortal worshippers. In D&D, deities have more power based upon how many followers they have, and it is even possible for mortal creatures to become deities given the devotion of enough followers. In the Feywild, the Spider Queen Lolth led her corrupted elven followers against their kin, but the Raven Queen allied with Corellon in a war against her. Lolth was eventually defeated, and the Raven Queen claimed dominion over the portfolio of fate in her victory. The Queen of Chaos and Miska the Wolf Spider banded together, and their armies were extremely vast. They were opposed by the forces of law and order, led by the Wind Dukes of Akka. The Wind Dukes were able to craft the Rod of Law, and with it defeat Miska, banishing him to Pandemonium. In his defeat, the Oberonths were scattered, and the Queen of Chaos retreated to the Abyss. The Rod of Law shattered, however, becoming the Rod of Seven Parts, which is a famed D&D magical item today. Asmodeus, still watching over the chained god's eternal prison, was corrupted by the Oberonths, and sought out the Shard of Pure Evil. He believed that a sliver of the shard would power his staff with great energy, but he was deceived. The shard corrupted the divine being, instilling a lust for power in him that could not be sated. gods opposed Asmodeus' new ventures, but the fallen angel was able to convince the gods to make the Pact of Primeval. This pact stated that the gods upheld Asmodeus' claims over the 9 hells in exchange for Asmodeus' guarantee that he would engage the demons of the abyss in an eternal war. In this way, the gods hoped that the demonic threat would never escape the infinite layers of the abyss. Asmodeus also claimed the ability to gain power from mortals who opposed the gods, and he became responsible for their tormenting punishments. Also at some point during the Dawn War, Dendar the Night Serpent flew up and devoured the sun, plunging Abir Toril into freezing darkness. The entire planet iced over, and life was extinguished. This length of time is referred to as the Shadow Epoch. Eventually, Ubtao the Deceiver betrayed his fellow primordials, helping to imprison the vast majority of them over thousands of years. In his success, Ubtao was granted dominion over the island of Cholt, where he would dutifully watch over the tomb of the slumbering primordial Dendar the Night Serpent. The sun was recreated, and the oceans of Abir Toril thawed, restoring life to the planet. Finally, a major victory was won by the god Kord over the remaining primordials, and this marked the end of the Dawn War. The primordials are scattered in their numerous defeats, the first pantheon of deities has formed, the demons and devils are engaged in an eternal combat, and life is being restored on Abir Toril. This new outlook brings us to the beginning of the Days of Thunder, which we will explore in the next video. As I mentioned, this was a lot to cover in one video, and it encompasses many aeons. There are many details that I did not mention, so to get a little more in depth, I recommend AJ Pickett's video on the subject. There will be a link in the description if you'd like to check it out. I will also provide some links to the Forgotten Realms wiki page and the Roll20 compendium, where a lot of the information in this video was found. They're great resources for anyone interested in the Forgotten Realms, so head over there too. I hope that you've enjoyed our look at the Dawn War. If there's anything I missed, or you have a question, write me a comment below and I'll get back to you. Until next time, stay curious, adventurers.